Hello. My friends, I hope this finds you well and that you are ready for the weekend. I'm just going to adjust myself here with you. Hello. I hope this finds you well and in a loving space with yourself, with all that is arising and falling and being and doing and having and blah 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 and all this stuff, and grateful for all of it, and watching the ridiculous play of the ups and downs and the contrast that one is experiencing. You know, I was thinking about, before I started this talk, is that, it's really not about, at the end of the day, in your daily life, and all your whole life, it's not about the positive thoughts, but more or less about how you handle the negative thoughts. And the negative thoughts ain't never gonna go away. And the positive thoughts are also never gonna go away, because they're all just part of the same thing. And I feel like, the positive thoughts feel really good, and they feel really good, and that self-talk and that self-love and appreciation. And sometimes, that is associated, that positive thing is associated with the ego. I think in all of it is, really, because, there's no separation from identities of who we are as people. And people do, sometimes we just can't see that. And I think the positive and negative thoughts are going to arise in you. And the negative ones is like, I was never taught that that voice was there. And of course you never really realize it until you start to grow up, and you grow and you feel that negative space that you get into, and because that's normal and natural, and you're low energy, we're vibration, and vibration, that's what I believe. I believe that we are vibration, and that we're vibrating all the time, and we don't vibrate on the same frequencies, and maybe we affect each other's frequencies. That's why I think I choose love above anything, because it's a loving energy. There's exchange, and it's high vibratory. I find it high vibratory, and it vibrates on a very high level of positivity. And the emotions that create those thoughts is really important for me to recognize, and for me to share that with you. And I think that, negative thoughts are, how do you handle those? How do you handle those? How do you handle those thoughts? Those thoughts are there for you to recognize. And there are illusions. Because I believe that, the negative thoughts, especially when you are beating up on yourself and saying that you're not this and not that, that's all coming from your childhood. And that's all coming from the domestication and the unfortunate events. But I guess, without any label, I can, for a lack of a better expression, the unfortunate events that happen to you when you were little, and the systems that we're subjected to, organized religion or schoolings, or which is separating us from each other, and our grades, and how and our looks and everything, and all of the stuff that I talk about all the time, because at the end of the day, there's nothing other than that. And there's pure love as an option, and that the ego has an agenda, and that you're not the neediness of something outside of you to validate you, and this authentic power that we have inside of us. When we discover that, and we recognize these thought patterns, and that they arise and fall in every situation, it doesn't matter how successful you are, it doesn't matter how beautiful you are, however that is labeled beauty, and we have been convinced and conditioned to think that this is beautiful and this is not, and that's not even relevant, I think. I'm talking about physicality. and what is labeled as beautiful and what is labeled as ugly. And I find that very interesting in the whole play of the mind, and how we are subjected to suffering at a very, very young age. And so the negative thoughts start, and you start to, you know, start to listen to what people say to you, and especially your parents. And there is no, when the blame game subsides, and you realize the unnecessary guilt that you feel, or the blaming of why something is the way it is. And psychologically, when you come through that and you work through that, I don't even think you have to work through it. You just have to let go of the negative and the positive. But I think how do you handle the negative thoughts is really key to your own personal growth and success. Or it is for myself, and I certainly recognize that, because I have negative thoughts that try to tell me that I'm this or that, or that they don't like this, or that I'm not good if someone doesn't approve of me, or approve of the way I live my life, or approval. All of these things are associated with negative thoughts. And the negative thoughts can hijack you into believing that you are something other than you're not. And the ego is part of engaged in all that. And then you can have the positive thoughts that tell you that you are beautiful. And I think, are labeling that you are this, that you are that. And when that takes over, and you're looking for the next fix, in the sense of like, let me present myself this way so I can look most beautiful and more beautiful than anybody, and I want to be more beautiful than anybody, so I can be validated for that, and that they won't even that you don't even think that you have the thoughts of inferiority, because you're so beautiful and everyone validates that beauty and says you're beautiful and everything, and that there's only me, and I'm number one, and when I'm number one I will feel happy. And I would not have to suffer anymore. But it's a trap, man. It's a trap. And I say it with a big smile on my face, because it's a joke. It's all a joke. And it's not a popular conversation really to have, I think. But it is a popular conversation that I have with myself, because my authentic growth is there in myself, and I feel that, and I share that, because we're all the same. Nothing separates us other than our thoughts, and we're all beautiful. We're all love, and there's so many people that are like hues of the rainbow. And can you imagine the ludicrousy of the separation of skin color, or gender, or sexes, or beauty, or height even, height. It's a joke. It's such a joke, because it's like, it's a ridiculous thing. Because none of us are any of those things. We are just labels of those things. We are our hearts that beat, and we are the awareness behind all that stuff. And I know, that sometimes I feel like I need to defend myself. Sometimes my ego feels really good when I do something great. But I know all the play. It's a play. It's a play of everything, and and my mind can tell me that I'm superior, and it can tell me that I'm inferior, and it can tell me if I just do this, if I just act like this, and I've adjusted that, I can have the next thing that comes to me, and I will be happy, and everyone will applaud. As a dancer myself, and being an artist and dancer, like the beginning of my life, the 3/4 of my life, more or less, is the applause, when I used to be on stage and like people applauding me, and I did well, and then people after telling me yes, no, yes, predominantly. And I would feel really bad. I feel suffer because I had to keep that up. And there was no room for mistakes. There was no room for failure. Because the ego doesn't like that, and people will see that you fail and then they won't be interested. And that affects everything, and it affects everything, how we live our lives, and the negative thoughts are so overwhelming that sometimes that we believe them. And we believe, you know, the thoughts that tell you that you're ugly, or that you're not good enough, or that you're too fat, or, you know, or that you're too short, or that your hands are too small, or your nose is too big, or your breasts are too small, or your dick is too little, or, you know, you feel really masculine if you have a big fucking dick, you know, like, I don't know, it's so shallow and unimportant. And so how do we deal with these negative thoughts? How do we deal with these negative thoughts that arise in us, that will always arise? And the skill is the thing I think that I ask myself, and I share it with you, is how I handle these negative thoughts. How do I handle these negative thoughts that tell me that I'm inferior? And how do I handle them? Well, they come and go like clouds, and they pass by, and I can hook onto them or not hook onto them, because it is my prerogative and my choice, and realizing where they came from, and then knowing that it's part of the big play of life, and there's a dead end to all of that. So how do you handle your own negative thoughts? I would love to hear from you, like how you handle your negative thoughts, because you're not your negative thoughts, and all of us experience them. Because if you listen and you look, and when people project a superior image out into the world and say, look at me, I am this, and you are not this. I have this, you don't have this. There's a huge separation, and there's suffering to be had. Well, in a flash, in one moment, you can let go of all of that arises, positive and negative, but especially the negative, because they feel bad. Allow them. I'm allowing them. I'm sharing with you what I know and what I feel by observing myself and putting myself out there. I can definitely say that is really, like here, you're watching me. So I feel really, really confident about that. In myself, just by the action that I do. Not because it makes me feel superior. It's not about that, because I love people stepping outside of their own comfort zones. If you have comfort zones, I mean, I think we all do, but some of us are aware of them, some of us are not. I'm aware of them. So I just like that. I like that. I like to tap into my source that I create with and co-create with. And don't listen to the negative head, because it's a lie, and you're nothing but love. And we're all love, and it's the weekend, and so I just thought I'd share that with you. Thank you so much for watching, and I wish you the most beautiful weekend ever, and a lot of light in your experience, and love all that it is, and appreciate. No labels, no judgments, negative, positive, up and down, right around. Non-dualism. Yeah, no polarization. I don't know. Let go of being right, I guess. I don't know, that all helps me. Here's for a better world. Here's for a better you. Here's for a better me. Here's for a better place. We are already that, if we just let go. I love you so much. Thank you for watching. Ciao, ciao.